The look lasted only a second. But it changed everything. When her father paused in the doorway and met her eyes, she felt it. That quiet weight. The kind that settles in your chest before the words even arrive. Her name was Elena. She was standing in the kitchen, pretending to read a message on her phone she had already memorized. The late afternoon light spilled across the counter like it always did. Nothing felt unusual. Except him. Her father cleared his throat, then didn't speak. He just watched her. Carefully. Like he was searching for the right moment, or maybe the courage. Elena smiled, light and casual. "Everything okay?" she asked. He nodded too quickly. "Yes. Of course." But he didn't move. Didn't leave. And that's when she knew. Her father had always been steady. The kind of man who fixed broken shelves without being asked. Who listened more than he spoke. Who showed love through quiet actions instead of grand words. So when concern showed on his face, it meant something mattered. Elena slipped her phone into her pocket. She leaned against the counter and waited. They had always understood each other like that. No rushing. No pressure. Her father finally stepped into the room. He rested his hands on the back of a chair, like he needed something solid to hold on to. "There's something I've been meaning to ask you," he said. The way he said it made her heart slow down. Each beat felt louder than the last. She nodded once. "I'm listening." Outside, a car passed. Somewhere down the street, someone laughed. Life kept moving, unaware that a quiet moment was unfolding in that kitchen. Her father took a breath. Then another. "I've noticed you've been distant lately," he said gently. "Not unhappy. Just, somewhere else." Elena looked down at the floor. The tile had a small crack near her foot. She had known that crack her whole life. "I didn't mean to be," she said. "I know," he replied quickly. "That's why I wanted to talk. Not accuse. Not judge." That word stayed with her. Judge. She had been judging herself enough already. Elena had moved back home 6 months earlier. Not because she failed. That's what she told everyone, at least. She said it was temporary. A pause. A reset. But pauses have a way of stretching longer than expected. Her father pulled out the chair and sat down. He looked smaller like that. Older. Not weak. Just human. "You don't have to explain anything you're not ready to," he said. "But I want you to know something." She met his eyes again. They were warm. Steady. Waiting. "I see you trying," he continued. "I see the effort you don't talk about. The nights you stay up thinking. The mornings you force yourself to be hopeful." Elena swallowed hard. She hadn't realized how badly she needed to be seen. "I worry," he said softly. "Not because you're lost. But because you're carrying everything alone." Her chest tightened. She crossed her arms, then uncrossed them. Didn't know what to do with her hands. "I didn't want to disappoint you," she admitted. Her father shook his head slowly. "Oh, Elena." He stood and moved closer. Not touching her. Just near enough. "You could never disappoint me by being honest," he said. "Only by believing you have to hide." That was when the tears came. Quiet ones. The kind that surprise you because you didn't know they were waiting. She turned her face away, embarrassed. But her father didn't look away. He gave her time. Elena wiped her cheek and laughed softly. "I thought I had everything figured out by now," she said. "I thought adulthood would feel more certain." Her father smiled. A sad, knowing smile. "I'm still figuring it out," he said. "And I've lived a lot longer than you." That helped more than he probably realized. The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable. It felt like space being made. Like something important was about to be placed between them. Her father straightened, then hesitated again. That same look of concern returned. Deeper this time. "There's one more thing," he said. Elena's breath caught. Whatever it was, she sensed it wasn't small. It wasn't casual. It was something he had carried for a long time. She nodded. Ready. Or at least willing. And just before he spoke, before the truth edged closer, Elena felt the moment stretch. Like the calm before a shift she couldn't undo. If you're enjoying this story so far, Please like the video and subscribe for more heartfelt tales. Her father opened his mouth. His eyes softened. And Elena realized this conversation was only the beginning. Something was about to change. For both of them. He didn't say it right away. That pause spoke louder than words. Elena watched her father's face change, just slightly. Like he was stepping back into a memory he hadn't visited in years. One he wasn't sure he wanted to open. I should have told you this sooner, he said. Her heart leaned forward before she did. The room felt smaller. More fragile. Told me what? She asked. He pulled the chair back again and sat down, slower this time. His hands rested on his knees. They looked steady, but she noticed how his fingers pressed together. When you were a child, he began, I tried very hard to be strong. Elena tilted her head. He had always been strong. At least, that's how she remembered him. I thought strength meant silence, he continued. Fixing things. Providing. Protecting you from worry. She nodded, unsure where this was leading. But there were moments, he said, when I wasn't sure I was doing it right. That caught her off guard. Her father had always seemed certain. Even when money was tight. Even when life threw sudden changes their way. You did more than right, she said quickly. He smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. I know that's how it looked, he said. But inside, I was often afraid. Afraid. That word echoed in her chest. I was afraid of failing you, he went on. Afraid you'd grow up believing the world was safe when it wasn't. Or believing you had to be perfect to survive. Elena felt her throat tighten. She had believed that. For a long time. Her father leaned back and stared at the ceiling. I never told you about the job I lost, he said. She frowned. What job? The one before the one you remember, he replied. Her memories shifted. She remembered stability. Routine. Her father leaving early and coming home tired but smiling. I didn't want you to worry, he said. So I pretended nothing had changed. Elena sank into the chair across from him. I woke up every day pretending I had somewhere to go, he continued. I sat in my car and planned. I hoped. I prayed. She pictured him alone in that car. The idea felt wrong. Like rewriting a childhood she thought she understood. I told myself it was temporary, he said. That you'd never know. Elena swallowed. But children always know something, he added softly. Even if they don't have the words. She looked down at her hands. At the faint scar on her knuckle from years ago. I remember feeling like I had to be good, she admitted. Not cause trouble. Not ask for much. Her father closed his eyes for a moment. That's what I regret, he said. Not telling you that you never had to earn your place in this family. Silence filled the room again. But this time, it felt heavy. Elena leaned forward. Why tell me now? He opened his eyes and looked at her directly. Because I see you doing the same thing, he said. Carrying your worries quietly. Smiling when you're tired. Thinking you have to figure everything out alone. Her chest tightened. She hadn't realized how obvious it was. I don't want you repeating my mistakes, he said. I don't want you thinking your worth depends on how well you hold it together. Elena's eyes burned. I didn't know how else to be, she whispered. Her father reached out, resting his hand over hers. The touch was simple. Grounding. You're allowed to be uncertain, he said. You're allowed to pause. To change direction. To ask for help. She let out a shaky breath. I was afraid you'd think I wasted time, she said. Or potential. He squeezed her hand gently. I think you're still becoming, he said. And that takes time. That sentence settled into her bones. For a moment, she felt lighter. Like the pressure she'd carried had loosened, just enough to breathe. But then her father's expression shifted again. That familiar concern returned. There's something else, he said. Elena's stomach tightened. This time, his voice was quieter. More careful. It's about why I worry so much when I see you pulling away, he said. She waited. Barely breathing. It's not just because you're my daughter, he continued. It's because I recognize the signs. Her pulse quickened. Signs of what? She asked. He hesitated, then spoke. Of someone standing at a crossroads, he said. And being afraid to choose. Elena felt a chill run through her. Because he was right. She had been standing there. 4 months. And she hadn't told him what waited on either side. Her father leaned closer. There's a decision you haven't shared with me yet, he said softly. Elena's heart raced. She hadn't planned to say it tonight. Hadn't planned to say it at all. But the way he looked at her told her something important. He already knew there was more. And whatever she said next would change how he saw her future. Elena felt the truth press against her ribs. It wanted out. She stood and walked toward the window, buying herself a few seconds. Outside, the sky was turning that soft blue that comes just before night settles in. Familiar. Comforting. Her father didn't rush her. He never did. There is something, she said finally. Her voice sounded steadier than she felt. He waited. I was offered a position, she continued. Not here. The words hung in the air. Her father rose slowly and joined her by the window. How far? He asked. Across the country, she said. He nodded once. No shock. No interruption. I didn't tell you because I didn't know if I'd take it, she added. And I didn't want to talk about something that might not happen. That's understandable, he said. She turned to face him, surprised. I thought you'd be upset, she admitted. That you'd think I was running away again. Her father smiled faintly. Sometimes leaving isn't running, he said. Sometimes it's listening. Elena let that sink in. I'm scared, she said. Not of failing. Of choosing wrong. He studied her face. The same way he had when she was little and unsure. There is no perfect choice, he said. Only honest ones. She laughed softly. I wish I had your confidence. He shook his head. This isn't confidence, he replied. It's experience. They moved back to the table and sat across from each other. The light in the room felt warmer now. Less tense. What's holding you back? He asked. Elena traced a circle on the table with her finger. This place, she said. You. The memories. The version of myself I thought I'd already be. Her father listened. I worry that if I leave, she continued, I'll lose something I can't get back. He considered that. You'll lose some things, he said gently. That's true. Her heart sank. But you'll gain others, he added. And some things don't disappear. They just change shape. Elena swallowed. When I left my hometown, he said, I thought I was abandoning my past. She looked up. I wasn't, he continued. I was carrying it with me. Letting it inform who I became. She nodded slowly. I don't want to make a decision out of fear, she said. But fear is loud. Her father chuckled softly. It always is, he said. But it's not a good leader. The room grew quiet again. Not heavy. Reflective. I need you to know something, he said after a moment. She met his gaze. If you go, he said, I will miss you. Her throat tightened. But I won't feel abandoned, he continued. And I won't feel disappointed. A tear slipped down her cheek. I raised you to have a life, he said. Not to stay close out of obligation. That was when she realized something important. Her fear hadn't just been about the move. It had been about permission. Thank you, she whispered. He reached across the table and squeezed her hand again. There's one more thing I haven't told you, he said. Her chest tightened once more. It's about your mother, he said. Elena froze. Her mother had been gone for years. Not physically gone. Just distant. A quiet absence that had shaped their home. What about her? Elena asked. Her father's expression softened. She once stood at the same crossroads you're standing at now, he said. Elena leaned forward. She had a chance to leave, he continued. To follow a path that scared her and excited her at the same time. Elena's heart raced. She stayed, he said. For many reasons. Love. Responsibility. Fear. Elena felt something shift inside her. She never blamed me, her father added. But sometimes, late at night, I could see the question in her eyes. The question. What if? Elena's breath caught. I don't want that for you, he said. I don't want you looking back years from now, wondering who you might have been. The weight of his words settled over her. She had always thought staying was the safer choice. The kinder one. Now she wasn't so sure. Her father stood and walked toward the hallway. He paused at the door. Whatever you decide, he said, make sure it's a choice you can live with. Not one you explain away. Then he left the room. Elena sat alone in the quiet. Her mind raced with possibilities. With endings. With beginnings she hadn't allowed herself to imagine. She reached for her phone. The offer message was still there. Waiting. And for the first time, she didn't immediately feel afraid. She felt ready. But readiness didn't mean certainty. And she knew the hardest part was still ahead. Sleep didn't come easily that night. It hovered just out of reach. Elena lay staring at the ceiling, listening to the familiar sounds of the house. The soft creak of wood. The hum of the refrigerator down the hall. Everything felt the same. And completely different. Her father's words replayed in her mind. Not loud. Steady. She turned onto her side and picked up her phone. The message glowed gently in the dark. The offer was real. Clear. Waiting for an answer. She imagined herself in a new city. Different streets. Different routines. A version of herself no one here knew yet. The thought was both thrilling and terrifying. At some point, the house grew quiet in a deeper way. The kind that comes just before morning. When Elena finally slept, her dreams were full of half-finished sentences and open doors. She woke to the sound of her father making coffee. The smell drifted down the hallway like an invitation. Elena pulled on a sweater and stepped into the kitchen. Sunlight filtered in through the window, soft and forgiving. Her father looked up and smiled. "Morning," he said. "Morning," she replied. They moved around each other easily. Years of shared space had taught them that rhythm. He poured her a cup of coffee without asking. Set it in front of her. "You sleep at all?" he asked. "A little," she said honestly. He nodded. "Big decisions do that," he said. They sat at the table, the quiet comfortable again. But there was something new between them. Not tension. Trust. "I was thinking," Elena said slowly. "About what you said. About my mother." Her father looked down at his mug. "She was very capable," he said. "And very careful." Elena took a sip of coffee. "Do you think she regretted staying?" she asked. He considered the question. "I think she wondered," he said. "And wondering can be heavy." That stayed with her. Later that morning, Elena went for a walk. The neighborhood felt smaller than it used to. Or maybe she had grown. She passed the park where she learned to ride a bike. The library where she spent afternoons pretending she lived in stories. None of it disappeared when she walked by. It simply existed alongside who she was now. When she returned home, her father was in the garage, sorting through old boxes. She watched him for a moment before speaking. "I think I know what I need to do," she said. He looked up. Didn't ask which choice she meant. "I'm going to accept the offer," she said. The words felt solid. True. Her father nodded slowly. "I'm proud of you," he said. Emotion rose in her chest, sudden and sharp. "I'm scared," she admitted. He smiled gently. "That means you care," he said. "And that's a good thing." They stood there, surrounded by old memories packed in cardboard. Past and future sharing the same space. That evening, Elena sat at her desk and typed her response. She read it 3 times. Then pressed send. The moment passed quietly. No dramatic sound. No sudden shift. But inside her, something settled. She told her father later that night. He listened. He hugged her. Not tightly. Not desperately. Just enough. As the days passed, plans began to form. Small ones. Then larger ones. She noticed her father watching her sometimes. Not with concern this time. With something else. Acceptance. On her last night before leaving, they sat on the porch together. The air was cool. The stars faint but present. "I wish I had done this when I was younger," her father said suddenly. Elena turned to him. "Then I wouldn't be me," she said. He smiled. That's true, he said. They sat in silence for a while. There's one thing I need you to promise me, he said. She looked at him. Call me, he said. Even when you're busy. Especially then. She laughed softly. I will, she said. He nodded, satisfied. But as the night grew quieter, Elena felt a new emotion creep in. One she hadn't expected. Grief. Not for something lost. But for something ending. Tomorrow, she would leave the house she grew up in. The man who taught her how to stand on her own would watch her walk away. She rested her head against his shoulder. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Because some goodbyes begin long before the door closes. Morning arrived quietly. Too quietly. Elena stood in her old bedroom, surrounded by boxes and half-empty shelves. The walls felt bare without the pieces of her life attached to them. She took one last look around. Not searching for sadness. Just acknowledging what had been. Downstairs, her father waited by the door. Her bags were already packed. The car keys rested in his hand. They didn't rush. They never did. Elena paused at the bottom step. For a brief moment, she was a child again. Barefoot. Curious. Certain her father would always be there. And he was. You ready? He asked gently. She nodded. Outside, the morning air felt crisp. Clean. Like a beginning. He loaded the last bag into the car and closed the trunk. The sound echoed softly in the driveway. They stood facing each other. I want you to remember something, her father said. She waited. Home isn't a place you stay, he said. It's a place you carry. Tears welled in her eyes. I know, she whispered. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small envelope. What's this? She asked. Something I should have given you a long time ago, he said. She opened it slowly. Inside was a folded letter. Old. Carefully kept. It's from your mother, he said. She wrote it before you were born. Elena's breath caught. She never knew if she'd be brave enough to chase her dreams, he continued. But she wanted you to. Elena unfolded the letter. Her mother's handwriting was soft and looping. The words were simple. Hopeful. Full of belief. Live wide. Choose honestly. Don't stay small out of fear. Elena pressed the letter to her chest. Thank you, she said. Her father nodded, his eyes shining. They hugged then. Longer than usual. Still not desperate. Just full. When they pulled apart, he smiled. Go, he said. Become who you're meant to be. Elena climbed into the car and started the engine. She looked back one last time. Her father stood in the driveway, hands in his pockets. Steady. Proud. She waved. He waved back. As she drove away, she felt the weight of the past settle behind her. Not dragging her down. Anchoring her. She didn't know exactly who she would become. But she knew this. The look of concern her father once gave her had turned into trust. And that made all the difference. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is listen to the people who see you clearly, even when the path ahead is uncertain. Especially then. Elena smiled as the road stretched out before her. She wasn't leaving home. She was carrying it forward.